Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope you're well wherever you are, whatever the time, and welcome back to another video. My name is Elliot Gibson, natural bodybuilder, here to help you get more jacked. And in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the 5 biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to their training in the gym. And I think if there's one place where you want to make sure that you're maximizing everything, it's going to be the gym. Your training is the #1 driver for changing your body. You can have the perfect diet, you can sleep perfectly, but if your training isn't up to scratch, you're not going to get anywhere with your physique. So you want to make sure that you're getting it right. So #1, the first mistake that I see people make is overthinking their training split. Should I be doing full body? Should I be doing push-pull legs? Or this person does the bro split, so I should be doing a bro split. And honestly, for most people, your training split just doesn't matter. You can have this perfectly aligned training split that has been designed by the world's greatest coach, and Hani Rambod has looked over it, and Jordan Peters has assessed it. It just doesn't matter if you're just not a consistent person in the gym. I think most people don't have the muscle to warrant getting super specific with their training split. I would just pick a split that actually just works really well with your day-to-day schedule. If you can only train 4 days a week, pick a training split that fits into that. And then aside from that, just make sure that everything is pretty well balanced. Obviously, you need to make sure that you're training your legs if you want to be a bodybuilder or just have a well balanced physique. #2 is not using a logbook. Your logbook is going to provide you with the best possible insight into your own training. Your logbook is going to allow you to make smarter decisions with your progressions in the gym. So when to go up in weight, when to try and take another rep. It's also going to let you know when you might be doing a little bit too much volume, when you might be overexerting yourself. So not only does the logbook hold you accountable to make sure that you're progressing in the gym, because without that progression, you're not going to see steps forward in your physique, but it also gives you an insight to make decisions about your volume or decisions about your exercise order, that kind of thing. So I definitely think if you're starting out in the gym, definitely get yourself a logbook. I've got so many logbooks that I've kept for years now. I've been logbooking for, I'm gonna say, maybe like about 7 years now. Either get yourself a physical book or just use an app on your phone. Mistake #3 is having an over obsession with getting really strong or an over obsession with the mind-muscle connection. I honestly think the sweet spot lies somewhere in the middle. There's always that camp of people that say it doesn't matter if you feel an exercise or not, just make sure you're moving the weight. It doesn't really matter because there's going to be something doing that. And although I do think that that rings true for some movements, I do also think it's important to not ignore the mind-muscle connection. I think actually feeling an exercise is probably a good sign that you're working that muscle. I think where the mind-muscle connection becomes a bit of an issue is if you're refusing to increase the amount of weight you're using because you begin to not feel the exercise. There will just be some exercises that you feel a little bit more than others. So for example, you might feel your quads on a leg extension more than you might on a squat. It doesn't mean that the squat is a bad exercise for your legs. I think you just need to understand that there's a difference between kind of the two exercises, and if you just completely focus on one of those things, like, oh, just get strong and don't even worry about feel, or oh, just worry about my muscle connection and don't get strong, you're selling yourself short. Try and find kind of the sweet spot, and like I said, it usually lies somewhere in the middle. #4 is not exerting effort on certain exercises to conserve energy for others. This reason came up because I actually recently saw a video of David Laid and Chris Bumstead. I'll put it up if I can actually find the video, but basically David Laid is training, he's doing a close grip pull down. David Laid looks pretty good, but he's looked the same for years now, right? And I don't know whether or not he's trying to progress his physique, but his physique hasn't really changed in years. And David Laid's been around since like I started training. He mentions to Chris Bumstead about how he's not putting in a lot of effort because he's saving himself for the bigger compound movement. And I don't think this is a good mentality to have when you're training, especially when you're training to build muscle. I think you should be going for it and putting your best efforts into every single exercise. And if you have an issue with energy and you can't give it your all on certain exercises, it's probably an issue with your nutrition, it's probably an issue with your exercise order, it's probably an issue with the amount of volume that you're doing, or there's probably an issue with your ego. You don't like the idea that because you've put loads of effort into your lat pull down, you're going to feel a little bit weaker on your deadlifts. And it doesn't really matter if you're just trying to build muscle. Speaking of ego, that brings me on to the final point, allowing your ego to hold back your progression. Now, this can look like having really bad form and not checking yourself on it, just constantly increasing the weight as your form gets worse and worse, just because you want to lift as much as humanly possible, regardless of how it looks. It could be risking injury because you want to lift a lot of weight and put it on your social media to get a lot of attention and whatnot. It could be not taking deloads when you need to, or backing away from a certain exercise because it's just hurting you. All of these things just stem from your ego getting in the way. And I think that holds a lot of people back from progressing. A really good example of this is the leg press. A lot of people will load that leg press up so much and their legs are not big. As soon as they start leg pressing, they're moving like inches on the leg press, when really if they just halve the weight and they got better full range of motion, they probably get more out of the exercise, but their ego just doesn't allow them to do that. And there you have it, 5 of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when it comes to their training in the gym. I hope you liked this one. If you did, make sure to give the video a like. As always, subscribe to the channel. Expect new videos every single week, all to do with building muscle, etc., all that good stuff. I'll see you for the next one.